Hello besties, and welcome back to part 2 of my Khaenri'ah theory. We're determining what events happened, we're looking at who was involved, and making predictions about the future of the game around what Khaenri'ah is and what it represents. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Kaeya, Albedo, and Dragonspine. If you didn't watch part 1 of the series, it's linked in the description below because you're going to want to watch that for some context on this one. Disclaimer before I get started, like last time, every theory in here, although based on solid canon evidence, is tied to my own personal speculations, so the theories are subject to change or be confirmed at any moment. All evidence is from the game, webcomic, or official wiki, all of which are linked in the description. A decent amount of background knowledge on Genshin Impact's game and character lore is recommended, and finally, spoilers for everything ahead. The first mention we get of Kaeya's connection to Khaenri'ah is in his 4th story. It reads, "This is your chance. You are our last hope." Kaeya's father squeezed his son's lean shoulders as he spoke, seemingly looking right through Kaeya into some place far beyond. On the other side of the horizon sat their distant homeland of Khaenri'ah. It's unknown why Kaeya's father abandoned him with the Rogvindir family, but given his words, we can guess why Kaeya was likely sent by his father to infiltrate Mondstadt and ascend its political and social ranks while maintaining the goals of the Abyss Order. Kaeya is a high-ranking member of the Knights of Favonius, but doesn't necessarily have knightly qualities or values. In his 2nd story, it says that Kaeya's methods are controversial because he likes to purposefully endanger his fellow knights. None of the other knights, even those who care less about their job than others, for example Lisa, do that. In Invitation of Windbloom Act 2, Missive of Cloud and Fog, Kaeya writes, "I triumph over you," and Hiliturian to Venti. The exchange between Venti and Kaeya is casual yet still tense, probably in an effort to not make you feel concerned. But the only reason Kaeya would have for saying that to Venti would be if Kaeya knew about Venti's involvement in the fall of Khaenri'ah. There are a number of parallels between Kaeya and Cryo Abyss mages. One of Kaeya's talents used to be called Heart of the Abyss, although this was changed to Glacial Heart after the 1.2 update. We don't know why it was changed, but maybe it had something to do with MiHoYo not wanting to make it overly obvious that Kaeya was working with and or for the Abyss Order yet. Also, Kaeya's Elemental Burst is identical to a Cryo Abyss mage's attack before it regenerates its shield. In the first scene where we see Diluc, he kills a Cryo Abyss mage in front of Kaeya. Of course this is meant to be taken literally, but I also think it's symbolic of the relationship between Kaeya and Diluc. Diluc fights an enemy that has a similar attack pattern and origin to Kaeya, and Kaeya just teases Diluc about it. I may be taking that exchange too seriously or reading too far into it, but it feels like that could be foreshadowing of Kaeya's possible future with Diluc. When it inevitably comes down to it and the Abyss Order strikes, only one of the two brothers will be able to survive unless they really find a way to reconcile their differences or sway Kaeya away from the Abyss Order. Speaking of that, it's obvious that Kaeya is a spy for the Abyss Order, but I think he has the potential to change. Although he's sadistic and a liar, Kaeya is not entirely heartless. He has real friendships like with Rosaria, he canonically has a crush on Albedo, and has familial love for Diluc. Just because Kaeya entered Mondstadt with the purpose of destroying it from the inside out doesn't mean his motives could be 100% unchanged. I think that over a period of time we're going to see Kaeya gradually grow apart from the Abyss Order, or during the final confrontation with the Abyss Order we'll be able to convert Kaeya to our side. Kaeya's genuine relationships with the people of Mondstadt are evidence that his initial mission could be skewed at some point in the future. In his voice line about Kaeya, he says, "Is the Abyss Order causing you trouble? If there's anything bothering you, you know you can talk to me." Since Kaeya is from Khaenri'ah and is passive-aggressive towards the nearest Archon, it wouldn't surprise me if he meant to imply that he was connected to the Abyss Order by that. But again, Kaeya's real relationships with people outside of the Abyss Order, including you, seem like they could be a major point of contention later on. Albedo is a difficult character to fully analyze. The issue with him lies within the fact that he seems unsure of himself and his own past, so it's hard to understand what actually has happened to Albedo outside of events we actually get to see. In his 3rd story, it says that Albedo has no childhood memories or recollections of his family. Instead, Albedo only remembers adventuring with Reindotir since his birth. Albedo is clearly not human. As a practitioner of Kaeya, the life-giving form of alchemy, it would make sense for Albedo to have been born from it. The only other user of Kaeya is Reindotir, who is the only person Albedo seems to remember from his past outside of Mondstadt. Both of them are from Khaenri'ah, but because of Albedo's limited memories from his past, he has a lot of potential to not be connected to the Abyss Order at all. Because Albedo spent limited time in Khaenri'ah compared to other Khaenri'ahns we know about, his loyalty to the survivors would be far weaker than others. This appears to be true in his stories. His 1st and 2nd stories revolve around his surprising kindness to those around him. The first talks about how encouraging he is to Sucrose and Timaeus and how he finds pleasure in giving his sketches to the citizens of Mondstadt. The second goes over his relationship with Klee and how he views her as a younger sister. In his voice line about Barbara, Albedo recalls a situation where he protected Barbara from her stalker, Albert. Albedo clearly cares about others and doesn't seem to have any ulterior motives with his relationships. Albedo is the least suspicious Khaenri'ah we know. His familiarity with Mondstadt outweighs his familiarity with Khaenri'ah, so naturally he would side with the former. Albedo's arrival in Mondstadt is similar to Kaeya's, though. Reindotir sent him to join the Knights of Favonius and find the true meaning of the world, but none of that has anything to do with the Abyss Order. Albedo's inhuman nature actually makes him more humane than the other Khaenri'ahs we know because it causes him to objectively view situations with no prior bias. Albedo expresses fear of one day accidentally destroying Mondstadt. If Albedo truly was working with the Abyss Order, that would be what he wanted. That would be his ultimate goal because that looks like it's Kaeya's, and Kaeya obviously works for the Abyss Order. Albedo is scared of destroying Mondstadt and hurting his friends in the process. His loyalty clearly isn't with the Abyss Order despite being from Khaenri'ah. I think Dragonspine is the key to understanding Celestia's motives and its relationship with Khaenri'ah until we get more information in other areas of Teyvat or Khaenri'ah itself. Like I talked about before, an archaic kingdom called Selvin-Dagnir is buried beneath what we now see as Dragonspine. The kingdom's fall isn't explicitly said to have been caused by Celestia, but it's heavily implied that when the celestial gods dropped Skyfrost's nail on the kingdom, it was destroyed and everyone there died. Dragonspine is littered with out-of-commission ruin guards, which we know come from Khaenri'ah thanks to Dainsleif. Interacting with them will give you a short string of numbers, and when you put all the numbers together in an alphanumeric code, you'll receive a hidden message. It reads, "For the nation, we can't forego the skyborn power, but we failed." Khaenri'ah and Selvin-Dagnir are not the same thing, but the destroyed areas have a lot in common. Both sought to challenge the gods, whether purposefully or not, and both ended up being eradicated because of it. It's important to note that ruin guards, Khaenri'ah technology, are the ones who carry that message. As far as we know, Selvin-Dagnir has nothing to do with ruin guards. Although I don't consider Dainsleif a reliable source, I do believe him when he says that ruin guards originated solely in Khaenri'ah. So why would they carry the message of Selvin-Dagnir? Ruin guards aren't particularly intelligent beings from what we've seen and what Dainsleif says about them. They were just combat equipment, so it doesn't make sense for them to be these advanced research machines that picked up on the dying words of Selvin-Dagnir's people. I honestly can't come up with a good explanation for why that would happen, but I can tell you that the parallels between Selvin-Dagnir and Khaenri'ah are deliberate, and the messages of Dragonspine's ruin guards are proof of that. Maybe the people of Selvin-Dagnir are the ancestors of the people of Khaenri'ah, but there's no evidence of that, so I have no idea. I also think there's something to be said about how Albedo spends a lot of time in Dragonspine. If Albedo was as vengeful as the other Khaenri'ahs seem to be, I doubt he would want to spend a lot of time in a place that has obvious parallels to his destroyed homeland. It would be upsetting. But Albedo's somewhat cold-hearted nature or his unwavering objectiveness can be attributed to his staying there regardless. And maybe he isn't there for alchemy at all. When Albedo was with Reindotir, the two of them would explore the world together, so that could be what Albedo continues to do in Dragonspine without the guidance of her. He could be researching the fall of Selvin-Dagnir and its relation to, or at least similarity to, Khaenri'ah. Dragonspine, the story of Selvin-Dagnir, and how it all relates to Khaenri'ah are further evidence that the celestial gods are to blame for the destruction of the godless nation. Whether it's through actual canon events or sheer narrative parallels, the game is trying to tell us that Celestia has something against those who challenge them, and they won't hesitate to kill anyone who disagrees with their authority. In summary, Kaeya is working with the Abyss Order, and somewhere in the future he's going to either turn on us and stay with the Abyss Order, or we're going to need to take him away from them. Albedo is a Khaenri'ah, but he's not very suspicious, and he seems to be on our side. Dragonspine is the key to understanding Celestia and Khaenri'ah's relationship. Dragonspine is also further proof that the Archons were not responsible for the fall of Khaenri'ah. In the next video, I'll be going over miscellaneous little details. I'll be going more in depth on Dainsleif than the one video I actually just made about him. And then I'll be making a final theory tying everything together. Thank you for watching, besties.